less of the background. Again, welcome to Resurrection Reset. The Resurrection Reset, our journey to resetting our lives. This is week 2. And this week the theme is releasing, letting go of what no longer serves. What no longer serves. Now last week we began this journey, this resurrection reset with a simple but powerful act. The act of seeing clearly the patterns shaping our lives. Now, most people try to change, many people try to change their lives by adding something new. It's kind of like what we do on the external when we feel like a little down maybe, even when we feel like we need a boost, we go out and buy some new stuff, some new clothes, go to a restaurant. So we're in the habit of creating something new to seemingly boost us up. And we do the same as we try to change our lives. We look for new habits. We work on creating new goals. In some cases, we even make new effort. But see, spiritual transformation often begins somewhere entirely elsewhere. It begins with release, you see. The willingness to let go of the thoughts, expectations, and identities that no longer serve us. Oh, I was a bad person. Oh, I was this way when I was growing up. Oh, they thought about me like this. At some point, to resurrect the Christ within us, to resurrect the Spirit within us, to resurrect that center of spirit, that core spirit that's within us, that's waiting for the awakening to be active in our life on a conscious level. Sometimes we have to let go of we used to be Pookie. We're not Pookie no more. See, we want to become something new. And in order to do that, we have to release some of those things that have anchors on us, holding us back. Now, during these weeks leading to Easter, we are exploring something that we've named that resurrection reset. And we have to understand, it's not simply remembering the event in history that we have been taught, if we're in Christianity, that we read about since we were little ones, but exploring how resurrection can take place in consciousness now, you see. Because resurrection always begins with letting go of something that no longer belongs in our life. Letting go of something that no longer belongs in our life. Symbolically, the crucifixion was the release of the human issues for a spiritual upliftment. But today we take the next step in our journey of this resurrection reset. Our journey. Because we know that our journey is part of a universal journey. It's a journey where there's an acknowledgement that there is a infinite source to everyone, including us. It's there for each who seek it, no matter their race, gender, or religion. You can't, I can't believe what I made, but I have to know that the source of the universe, which is all-encompassing, must be, has to be, is the source of me, the source of each of us. And if that's the case, the principle supporting the stars is the principle supporting and available not only to you, but to all the brothers and sisters and other human beings in each of us. Now I know that as I declare this statement in the first person, I declare it for all. I am open and receptive to this divine living principle. Mother, Father, God, I am grateful. This is my declaration. This is my truth. And as I accept it, so it becomes. And all is well and well indeed. So today, we move into the next step of transformation. Release. You know, the journey started with awareness. And when we do that, when we get into awareness, it'll reveal, if we allow it, it will reveal patterns that need to be moved, need to be adjusted, need to be changed before this transformation that we seek, this resurrection reset begins. In the book of John, it's stated this way when we speak of awareness. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Speaking of awareness now. Charles Fillmore, the co-founder of Unity, says that wrote that the resurrection takes place in the consciousness of the individual. The resurrection takes place within my consciousness, within your consciousness. It's not an external event. It may have external motivations, but it is an internal journey. That awareness shows us what must change. So the awareness is to let us know what must change. What must change? There's nothing more than that. I'm aware, man, that's been holding me back, man. That's been the anchor in my life. Lady, sister, man. That's what has to change. But once we are aware with what has to change, the next step is the fact, the understanding, the acceptance that resurrection always begins with release. So now I know what it is, and now I must take action, you see. And the action is to begin the process of releasing. In the book of Isaiah, it reminds us to forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. Forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. Not saying it didn't happen. Not saying it was not a bad experience or good. It's not saying that. It's that it is a time to release it, to let it go. And the word forget is for that reminder to release it, to let it go. But there are barriers now. Let's not say that release is just a piece of cake. You see, because we're working with releasing things like familiar patterns, and familiar patterns feel safe. Releasing that identity that I'm no longer Pookie. I'm no longer Ray Ray. I'm no longer Bebe. And to release the hesitation to move forward into that unknown realm. We don't know what's going to happen as we release that stuff. They say it's going to be better, but I don't know. challenge that we must remember is that when we try to create a new life while still holding tightly to the old life, we create a barrier that stands in the way of the new life, stands in the way of the resurrection of that spiritual sinner that wants to come forth and be a conscious participant in our life. So what does this say about our practice, our new thought practice? Well, what about the release? What are the great spiritual thinkers? What are the founders? What are the ancestors of new thought? What do they say about release? Emma Curtis Hopkins, oh my God, the teacher of teachers. She says, you, me, we're not a victim of circumstances. You know, one thing about the early writers, the early New Thought participants, practitioners, it was just cut and dry. It wasn't a whole lot of flowery words and flowery concepts and to take us out into space. It was like, you're not a victim of circumstances. Now, if you want to know how you're not a victim of circumstances, I can give you some more, but just stop right there. Stop it. See, they were practicing something that we sometimes forget even as practitioners. Conditions follow consciousness. Conditions follow consciousness. Wow. Just sit with that for a moment. Just lay with that for a moment. Just hold on to that. Just close your eyes and feel that for a moment. Conditions, whatever they are, my lack of this, my lack of that, my straining here, my straining there, they follow consciousness. And I tell you something. If you ever want to check that out, decide to change your consciousness about a very simple thing. A very simple thing. Someone once said to a person, you know, I look at you and I see what you're doing, and you know, you have a poverty consciousness. And of course, this new thought person was like, no, there's no way. I'm not a poverty consciousness person. And then they said, but I'm going to show you how you move. I'm looking at how you move, and look at this, and look at that, and look at that. And they said, there may be a possibility that I have a poverty consciousness. I don't know. I never thought of it like that. And as they began to accept, they would become aware, right? And then they began to release the things that supported that poverty consciousness that they didn't realize they had. They noticed that their life began to change and move into a different direction, and all of a sudden, things that they thought they would never get began to flow toward them. The consciousness changed the events, changed the flow of life, of energy, of vibrations to them. Circumstances follow consciousness. Emmett Fox takes it a little further. He says, life is consciousness. Now, we just take those 2 points. Circumstances follow consciousness. Life is consciousness. The focus must kind of maybe change. This is a point of awareness. So it's consciousness that I might need to work on. What? What do you mean consciousness? New thought people always throw words around like consciousness. What is my thinking? What is my feeling? What am I hearing from my subconscious mind? Now, I don't know if I can really hear it, but I can hear it. You see, because there are decisions that I make throughout the day, and I can stop and say, should I go left or right? And all of a sudden it says, you always go right. That's my subconscious, always go right. What if I change that up and go left? Or what if I pause a moment and say, well, why are we going right today? see, because this release process that we're talking about, it begins with changing the inner pattern, changing the conversation that I'm having with my subconscious self, my subconscious phase, my subconsciousness. And understand something. I have to be very diligent in knowing that this conversation is going on, because the subconscious has a function and a purpose, and it does its job really well. You try to beat your heart as many times as it needs to be beat to flow the blood in your body. And just thinking about, okay, I gotta be. But the subconscious already knows that's my job. So don't throw it out. I don't need the subconscious. It's a bad thing. All of those negative programs, if I just get rid of my subconscious, then I'll be okay. No. The subconscious has a purpose. It's just that many of us have misguided the purpose of the subconscious. A minister friend of mine once said to me, it's kind of like John the Baptist. You have to reduce it so the Christ can come forth. And I said, well, maybe I understand what is written there, but I'm just thinking, if it was given by the Creator to us, if this ego was given by the Creator to us, if this subconscious was given by the Creator to us, maybe it's not the fact that we don't need it. Maybe it's that we have been misusing it. I'm just saying. So how do we start? How do we work with moving on this subconscious change? Someone that I admire very much when I first read their material, Noah St. John, introduced something called formations. Now, later on I found that there's a scientific basis for these. His story was that he kind of discovered it in the shower, but there's a scientific basis for this process. Now, there's a difference between affirmations and formations. Affirmations are something like, I am free from old patterns. I am free from old patterns. I am free from old patterns. Now, the problem with that is that I don't believe that I'm free from old patterns, you see. I have so many supports for these old patterns. As a smoker, I had so many reasons why I smoked. I didn't want to smoke anymore, cigarettes. But I had reasons, you see. After you eat, you need to have a smoke. So it was tied to my eating, but I didn't want to smoke. And of course, before you go to bed, you need to have a smoke. But I didn't want to smoke anymore, but it was tied to relaxing me before I went to bed. And when you get up in the morning, the first thing you want to do is to have a smoke. But I didn't want to smoke anymore. But it was attached to habits. You see, so I could tell myself I didn't want to smoke. I don't like this smoke. And it took time to eventually convince my subconscious that I really didn't want this anymore. I really didn't want this. But it took a process because there were so many habits attached to this, what I didn't want. And if I just focused on what I didn't want, but didn't understand that it was supported by habits, I probably would still be smoking today. But fortunately, I'm 20-something years away from it, 25 years, I think, at this point. So thank you very much. Hallelujah, hallelujah. But what about an affirmation, which I love? We work with so much at Unity of Chicago South. We work with them for years. And the question now, because I don't want to smoke anymore, becomes, why is it becoming easier for me to release what no longer serves me? Now we have challenged the brain. The brain is now challenged to, well, I don't know for sure, but I know my job is to go out and find the answer. So I'm going to keep finding the answer. And as it keeps searching for the answer, there's a consciousness change. The habits, the supports are being knocked out without us addressing them, because we're addressing. I just want to know one thing. Why is it so easy for me to stop Smoking. Why is it so easy for me to let go of the things that no longer serve me? Why is it getting even easier? You see, there's an approach. One is convincing ourselves of something we don't believe. Think about that. I am trying to convince myself of something I do not believe, and my subconscious said, you do not believe that. I am not acting on that. When you convince me that you believe it, I will act upon it. So you must convince the subconscious that you truly want to release it, and you convince it by saying, well, why are we doing it? Subconscious, I really can't answer that. Let me go get an answer. Yeah, why are we doing it? And the conscious jumps in and says, yeah, we need to check on why we're doing that. And what happens in addition to that, that there's a reduction in resistance because there's no longer a challenge being put upon the subconscious, because the subconscious says, whoa, hold it, you don't understand. I don't play challenges. You can't come to me and just say, stop beating my heart. You don't have to work on that really hard, because my job is to beat your heart and flow the blood. So you just can't come to me and say, stop it. You got to tell me over and over again until I am convinced. And it's the same thing with whatever habit, whatever thing that no longer serves us. It has become embedded in the subconscious, and the subconscious just keeps bringing it back. So when you go at the subconscious and say, all right, that's over, subconscious will say, what you talking about? What you talking about? Huh? What you talking about, Willis? Right? So we want to reduce any resistance because we want to change. We want to make the release. We understand it's in consciousness, and that's where we're working. So we don't want to attack the consciousness and say, I don't do that anymore. We want to become friends with it. Say, let's talk about why. Why? So right now, what I would like you to do, is just stop. There's something in your life, I don't know, it might be picking your toenails. I'm not sure. But I know there's something in your life that you would like to not do. It may be big, it may be small. It doesn't really matter. But just for this moment, just for a breather, I want you to just pose that question. Why is it so easy for me not to do this anymore? Why is it so easy for me not to continue doing this? Why is it so easy for me to, just for a moment, whatever it might be in your life, that you're ready to release? In the book of Hebrews, we read, lay aside every weight. Lay aside every weight. Now, what are my weights? My old beliefs. Ones I don't want anymore. That old identity. I'm no longer Pookie. I'm no longer Ray Ray. I'm no longer Tutu. I didn't make it. And I really wanted that job. I really wanted that relationship. I really wanted that car. Letting go of disappointments. None of these continue to serve us. The consciousness is holding on to them, and it is holding the consciousness back from evolving to be the greatness that it can be in expression. Those things that no longer serve us, we must work to release them. Sometimes we think, man, but it was so powerful in my life. I gotta hold on to that. That's the thing that keeps me going. Release is not loss. Release is just putting it in a different place. Release is moving it from the front page to the back page, possibly. Because we are preparing. Release is preparation. Preparation for consciousness is life. If consciousness is life, if circumstances follow consciousness, I don't like the circumstances, and I'm not happy with the material aspects of my life, then consciousness is what I need to change based on this universal law I've just heard today. And if that's the case, those things that are in consciousness that are inhibiting me from having better circumstances and a better life, at the minimum I can move them to the back. Because I'm preparing for a better life. But are there some practical steps to let go of some of these habits, you see? I don't know. Let's explore. Well, first of all, we know the less we became aware. So awareness of the patterns that we have is one. And then after awareness, we can try things like forgiveness for whatever reason we've been holding on to this. Forgive ourselves for doing that. And releasing identity attachments. I know it was fun, man. People know me as Ray Ray. But I ain't Ray Ray, man. That's a different dude. Hey, Ray Ray, how you doing? Hey, man, I don't go by Ray Ray no more, but that's all right. We'll talk. You see. Hey, Ray Ray, what's up, man? You can call me Joe. That's my name. That's all good. You see, it's not necessarily we have to be aggressive. It's about, I'm working with me, and I kind of need you to help me, but I'm not going to tell you to help me. I'm not going to tell you it's just, that ain't going on right now. And then trusting this unfolding process that we're working with. You know why? Because it gets kind of scary, doesn't it? Man, I quit for a week. I quit that cigarette for a week, man, but it ain't feeling comfortable. It's so much comfortable when I can pick it up and light it and suck on it, right? But if I really want the consciousness to change so I can release the habit, I have to trust that, it's going to be okay. How do we do that? Some people do it by dealing with the process of a habit. You say, what is that process of a habit? It takes 21 days to create a habit. It takes 21 days to break a habit. Oh, that's all. That's it. So if I can do this for 21 straight days and I can have a new habit, you'll be on the road, you'll be at the precipice, you'll be at the front door, you'll be at the threshold. But when you're on day one, you ain't even close to the threshold, baby. You're not even close to the door. So we have to trust the process that in 21 days, in 20 more days, I'm going to get there. I'm not even counting the days no more. I'm just going to keep on doing what I'm supposed to do to get there, knowing that I will be there. Trust the process. Know this fact. Ernest Holmes wrote this. We cannot change conditions. I cannot change conditions. You cannot change conditions until you change ourselves. You think about that now. You think about people that win the lottery and they're broke later. You think about people that move into this wonderful house and then it looks like a shambles later because there's no change in the person. You can change the place. They say wherever you go, you take yourself with you. You may have heard that. But when we start releasing that which we no longer want, I release the desire. I know this is crazy. It sounds crazy. I release the desire to be broke. What? I don't desire to be broke. I desire to be rich. I just haven't gotten there yet. Why is it so easy for me to connect with prosperous opportunities? See, when we do this, when we start releasing, that's when we create more space for this renewal process, for this resurrection reset. So right now, we've gone through a lot. Let's just calm down. Let's just reflect for a moment and go back to that earlier affirmation. What belief, what identity, what expectation might be ready to be released in my life? Well, what belief, what expectation, what situation might be ready to be released in my life? And just leave it there. Let's just stay there for a moment. So you find your situation, the one that you want released, and ask the question to yourself, what situation, what circumstance is ready to be released in my life? And now, the next question we ask that inner guide. What is, why is, why is it becoming easier for me to release what no longer serves me? Why is it becoming easier for me to release, to let go of, to move away from, to no longer look at, no longer desire that which no longer serves me? Yes. Thank you so much for being here in this part of the journey. We hope that you come back as we continue on through Easter with this, the resurrection reset. But next week, we're going to deal with reframing. You see, once we release the old pattern, we want to begin to see life differently. Once we begin to release the old pattern, we want to begin to see life differently. So there may be a second affirmation that we connect to the first affirmation. Why is life becoming better for me in so many ways? And how can I connect with better patterns? You see, Neville Gardner wrote this: your assumptions determine your experience. So now I've worked on why it's so easy for me to let go of things that don't serve me anymore. And I come into, and why is life opening up in such a beautiful way for me every moment of every day? See, I assume that my experience is going to get better. Create your own. But understand that your assumptions create your experiences. Well, let us know that awareness reveals the pattern. Release loosens its hold. And when the old pattern loosens, something new can emerge. This is Reverend R. Kim saying on behalf of Unity of Chicago South, the Beyond Walls New Thought Ministry.